Hello there, kia ora. It's time to break out the violins, but, make them tiny and out of tune, because it's been a really tough few days for the alt-right, and it's just going to get much, much worse today. On top of research that came out with multiple stories this week about the gendered abuse that female politicians receive in this country from central and local government, well, showing that it mostly comes from men who are compensating for their shortcomings, yesterday we saw two alt-right trolls get unmasked. The one that went under the radar a little bit was actually around the Sensible Sentencing Trust billboards that showed up last week of Tamitha Paul and Chloe Schwarbrick, where it turns out that the authorization statement that are on the billboards themselves, well, they match another organization that's totally not going to surprise anyone. Now, they have to have these statements on there because they're technically considered electoral advertising. And that address? Well, it shares an address with the home of astroturfing in this country, the groups behind the Free Speech Union or the Taxpayers Union. It's an organization known as the Campaign Company. It's Jordan Williams' Campaign Company. It's their address that's on this particular billboard. Now, the Campaign Company has actually been described by one research group as having a client list that reads like an Atlas Network membership list, and they were behind Hobson's Pledges, foreshore campaign that they ran last year in the Herald on the wraparound. They got all the complaints, and then the Herald were like, yeah, this time we're not going to take your racist money. That was them. They did that. The other unmasked right-winger was an anonymous Twitter troll who goes by the name Holy Heka Tui Teka, whose selective screen grabs and baseless accusations against Green MP Benjamin Doyle has led to death threats against Doyle and their family from the alt-right, who claim cancel culture is bad. Unless it's, the imported type of culture wars that they can use to vilify trans and non-binary people. It turns out this dude is a Taranaki businessman named Rhys Williams, not to be confused with the Rhys Williams who does work with the New Plymouth District Council. This is the Rhys Williams who last year was behind the Inflection Point event, an anti-trans hate parade that was put on in Wellington. The one where New Zealand First Tanya Unkovich told the audience that God told her to see what's in your underpants before you take a leak. Williams claimed online that he and the Landy sisters had helped New Zealand First form policy around what he considered an issue. And one of those sisters was the one that was banned from the Otaki New World for harassing a trans staff member. Well, the Post and Stuff outed Williams today based on some extensive sleuthing work and revealed to the wider public some of his most vile Twitter posts and responses, which he's now unironically complaining about how things were cherry-picked from his account to make him look bad. And the worst people in the country are backing him up over this, because of course they are. And all this shows why we need to teach people the difference between hate speech and free speech, and take a look at how a lack of education and legislation in the area can cause significant harm and lead to significant societal issues. And all week, the far right have been screaming that deleting posts that have selectively chosen to misrepresent information to justify death threats and spread bigotry being deleted are a sign of guilt, unless you get an op-ed in the Herald. And now, for some reason, a lot of their posts have been deleted. It does raise a question of what they were saying about guilt, though, doesn't it? I wonder if there's any awkward clips of, say, a far-right politician going on about how deleting things might make somebody look guilty.
Worse than that, of course, you've got all these other postings, 52 of which he's pulled down. And he hasn't pulled them down because they are posts of innocence. He's pulled them down because they are posts which fall into very question the reason why he's in Parliament, and it can only be to massively corrode ethical standards in our society. Well, let me ask you this question. Why would you pull 52 posts if they were respectable?
Oh, that's awkward. I wonder if there's any sort of damage control from Peters. Oh yeah, of course there is. This Facebook message he put out last night. And all of this on the eve of what should be a massive fuck you to the alt-right today as the Treaty Principles Bill gets its second and hopefully final reading in the House. Now, yet again, the Prime Minister isn't going to be there, while Chris Hipkins has rearranged his schedule to make sure that he can be there for the vote. And it's the day we get to see if Luxon is a man of his word and his team, his caucus, are going to listen to him, and the bill proceeds no further after the Select Committee called for it to be tossed onto the waste pile of history, and it was revealed that only 8% of submitters supported the bill. And while the alt-right are whining about what people are so afraid of if we let the referendum go ahead, what they're clearly trying to do is get more time to rake up their alt-right, racist, bigoted talking points. And getting rid of this bill is one very small step in a direction of trying to stop the racist bullshit that this government has inflamed with its raft of anti-Māori policies. So, break out those teeny tiny violins, because the loudest, nastiest, most hateful people in the country are having a really shit time of it this week. And the rest of us should all consider that a win. And who doesn't love a celebration with music? Like the kind you get from tiny violins.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully I can find a way out of this building.